Right, so Keir Starmer's reactions and statements on the ongoing Israel-Palestine crisis have been criminal, literally. He advocated for Israel to be allowed to commit war crimes, did he not? Which has already seen members and some councillors around the country quit the party. Things are so bad now that emergency talks with the entire Labour front bench went on yesterday to try to work out how they can limit the damage, with a statement on this just now published today. Meanwhile, Starmer issued another ill-advised post on Twitter in light of the hospital bombing in Gaza last night, and has been met with an avalanche of negativity over that, not least because he still has not apologised for backing Israel, turning the water and electricity off to the Palestinian population of Gaza, but he hasn't withdrawn those remarks either, so to all intents and purposes, he is still standing by them, and by doing so remains complicit in the war crimes being committed, as directed recently by the International Centre of Justice for Palestinians. No longer is it enough for an increasing number of people to see that apology and retraction from Starmer, now literally a kid starver. They are, by increasing number, wanting him gone, wanting him out. And with even more elected officials looking set to resign today as well, the pressure is going to grow on the Labour Party to do something about their Starmer problem. A man whose unconditional, ongoing support for Israel means he has blood on his hands and who nobody in their right minds should want to see put in charge of this country. Right, so Keir Starmer had an absolute car crash of a day yesterday, entirely self-inflicted, entirely deserved. His advocation for war crimes, his unequivocal support for the apartheid regime of Israel, rapidly becoming exposed by more and more people paying attention to the social media coming out on this. The images, the videos, the first-hand testimonies that we're seeing that the mainstream media doesn't cover or isn't covering. And nothing brought this into sharper focus yesterday than the sight of that al-ahli Baptist church getting bombed, killing hundreds of innocent people, patients, medical staff, and people who were just seeking shelter there, unable to follow the evacuation order to move south. Where people had expressed their shock and horror at the spectacle, comments of that kind coming from Starmer, who has been unequivocal in his ardent support of Israel, even to the point he backed their right to commit war crimes against Palestinians, were as unwelcome as they possibly could be. Starmer tweeted out in response to that hospital attack: "The scenes of hundreds killed in the al-ahli Arabi Baptist Hospital in Gaza are absolutely devastating and cannot be justified. International law must be upheld, hospitals and civilian lives must be protected." It doesn't say an awful lot, does it? Statement of the obvious very much. Nothing there particularly offensive that you can disagree with in and of itself. But after everything else he has come out with, it's a little bit rich, and so many people have thought similarly and said so too. Palestinian ambassador Husam Zomlot, who has done many media rounds this week and called out the blatant one-sided bias he has experienced whilst doing so, said, "Why can't you condemn this? Why is that so hard for someone with a background in human rights law? Is it because the victims are Palestinian, Keir Starmer?" Muslim comedian Guz Khan responded with, "Make sure this disgraceful cretin never gets into power. How dare he greenlight this attempted genocide of the Palestinians? Too late to backtrack because you shit yourself, Keir Starmer." Jewish former ANC politician and Starmer constituent Andrew Feinstein said, "I am embarrassed, Keir Starmer, that you are my constituency MP. If you can't bring yourself to condemn Israel after these wanton acts of terrorism and genocide, you are nothing but a heartless, soulless, mendacious and cowardly opportunist. Shame on you." Trade unionist Howard Beckett came out with, "Cannot be justified. Hundreds are dead. Children not yet of school age are dead. Have you ever for a single moment imagined being a parent in Gaza before you come out with this insipid shit? Worse than pathetic. Absolutely disgusting. Not fit for leadership." The best response, I thought, though, came from former Corbyn staffer James Schneider, who won himself a bit of praise recently for rinsing Jeremy Kyle on his own show for being dishonest. It was lovely to watch. But he said, "You cheerled these crimes. The Israeli state told the world what it would do, and you applauded. You are stupid, a coward, a sadist, or a combo of the three. Shame on you. Shame on you, you war crime cheerleader. All the perfume of Arabia will not sweeten your blood-soaked hands." It's a sort of language that tends to be reserved for the likes of Tony Blair. Yet Starmer again has surpassed even that by garnering such disgust for his support of appalling regimes while still in opposition. At time of writing, Starmer's tweet has been quoted almost 4,000 times, and I've not seen one doing anything other than condemn him. Let's set that aside, though, because an ill-advised tweet that has backfired on him is one thing. This came after he had supposedly been sat for hours in heated discussion with not just his shadow cabinet, but his entire front bench team, looking for a way to move past the fact Starmer had given assent to Israel committing war crimes, that Western encouragement he is but one part of will have potentially emboldened Israel to commit subsequent attacks they may otherwise have thought twice about. Starmer was already in the position where members were announcing they were quitting the party because of him. Several councillors had quit too, in Manchester, Oxford and Stroud. I covered that in a video yesterday, and with more poised to. They were just waiting for a statement to be issued by the party leadership, by Starmer, to sort this out, to clarify Labour's new position, to show they were prepared to move, and given the outrage Starmer and David Lammy and Emily Thornberry notably had caused in their media outings and what they'd said on different various media shows. The full statement is quite lengthy. It is addressed to councillors. It speaks of Starmer meeting Jewish people at the local synagogue, humanitarian organisations operating in Gaza. I really don't know where he found time for all the hiding away he's been doing. But of the 5 pages of this statement, it's the last bit that's really the most important. And this reads, Labour has been clear. Israel has the right to defend herself, to keep its people safe and bring hostages home. Israel's defence must be conducted in accordance with international law. We are also clear the pain and suffering that has been unleashed is the responsibility of the terrorists of Hamas. Hamas are not the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people are not Hamas. Indeed, Hamas have no interest in the future and freedom of the Palestinian people, nor in peace, causes they have willingly, deliberately, murderously set back. Labour's commitment to a two-state solution, a secure Israel and a viable Palestine, is unwavering. You have my word. Labour will continue to call for Hamas to immediately release all hostages, all parties to act within international law and protect civilian life, immediate humanitarian access to food, water, electricity and medicine to Gaza, safe humanitarian corridors for those fleeing violence, solidarity with all those faced with the barbarism of Hamas. There's no criticism of Israel in there whatsoever, not in all 5 pages of it. The blame still remains solely on Hamas, though at least Labour has now solidly differentiated between them and other Palestinians. Labour have not been clear on anything up until now except their unequivocal support for Israel, which remains, and a reiteration of Starmer's backpedalling the other day, where he walked back on his backing for cutting off water and electricity. He still has not apologised for his thoughtless comments, and he still has not actually retracted the things he said. He has not done that in this document, and I think that's the most important thing he should have done. He has merely said other things as well, and given us his word. His word, people, what's that worth these days? When has that ever counted for anything? The word of a liar, the only assurance given, a day of discussion, the whole front bench, and they couldn't convince Starmer to so much as say sorry, for God's sake, or actually meaningfully draw attention to the fact Palestine is an occupied territory in violation of international law and has been for 75 years. They couldn't even get that out of him. It was still, at the end of the day, despite resignations of members and councillors, despite this exercise being designed to head off more resignations, they could not actually get Starmer to budge an inch in reality. Now, I can't say for sure whether this statement triggered more councillor resignations itself or more have just happened to have occurred today, but the Stats for Lefty's Twitter account has been tracking them all day, and today, at time of writing, another 5 councillors have resigned from Labour. Russell Whiting in Gedling Borough Council, Daniel Lee Facko has resigned as a councillor entirely in Newham, Usman Baimia on Gloucester City Council, Murray Healy on Cambridge City Council, and Asima Sheikh on Islington Borough Council. Solidarity to all of those for getting out of Labour. By not budging, I can't see how Starmer can save face here, though. He's going to drag out this pain in his party. There are 2 by-elections tomorrow, which might give an insight into the damage he's caused, if any, amongst voters. But within the party, disquiet can and will surely only increase, as this man still cannot bring himself to criticise the apartheid state, ultimately responsible for decades of anguish in this region. Calls for him to go are only going to get stronger off the back of this. But what do you think? Has he finally gone too far, or is his statement fair enough? Do have a say on the matter in the comments below and be part of the conversation on this. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation where Starmer backed those calls for collective punishment that he's being held to account for now, to a greater or lesser extent. Anyway, if you're not familiar with where this comes from, check this video out and I will catch you hopefully on the next vid. Cheers, folks.